India's child rape capital, where parents are apprehensive and scared for the safety of their children while they are at school. Yesterday we reported on the terrible case of a 3-year-old child who was raped twice in October and in November, allegedly by an attendant in her school. And what has surfaced today prompts us to ask the question, can we really trust Karnataka government's education department with keeping our children safe? Because now we are learning that the school in question did not have permission for classes 6 to 9 and was willfully flouting the rules and guidelines while it had permission only from nursery to class 5. So a school which was not even following basic rules, will it really care about the safety of the children? And we ask on Up South today, is the Karnataka government's education department sleeping, or are its officials who go for checks at different schools either lax in their jobs or look the other way when schools like these willfully flout rules?
See, as reported in the media, and our BO has given a report that one of the school this rape incident happened, and already a police case has been filed, and BO is also doing some initial inquiry. He has also submitted a report to me. So I think we have to examine this issue very seriously. And I think in this case, they say that all the CCTV camera, other things have been followed. Security steps have been taken, but this thing has happened. So I think we have to take serious view on it, and the government should take a view on how to control this type of menace.
Joining me now from Bangalore is my colleague Pratibha Raman, who has been reporting on that story. Pratibha, we have been seeing that the Chief Minister of Karnataka, the Home Minister and various other officials of the government have been saying that school managements are responsible. But here is it a case of the Karnataka Education Department not even doing its basic duty of checking whether the schools are following basic rules, leave alone safety. Can we really trust the Education Department with ensuring the safety of the children while they are at school?
Well, Sudhir, what is shocking is the fact that soon after the previous incident that had outraged many of the parents here in the city, the Department of Education had mentioned that it would conduct a drive, and then the Education Department, the Commissioner, had promised that it would soon be over and that only 15% of the schools are remaining still to be checked. And soon after which this comes to light, and the Department of Education is completely unaware of the fact that this school is running its classes from 6 to 9, which is absolutely illegal. In fact, even after the block education officer has gone and verified the documents and comes out and submits a report stating that this school has permission from class 1 to 5. So what happens to nursery? What happens to 6 and 9? Again, another probe gets initiated. So this is how lackadaisical officials that we are talking about. And I have with me a very concerned citizen of Bangalore. So I'm sure you're absolutely upset with the fact that the system is absolutely flawed.
Yeah, I mean, this is from a grassroots level. There's been an issue. So it's not just Bangalore. If it's in Bangalore where the people are coming out and this issue is coming out so prominently, what about the other cities which are not coming out and where parents are hesitating and where the media has not penetrated yet? So at that level, there's a problem. It's not just security where the police giving protection to the citizens. It is from the authorities which license it, give permissions from, let it be the corporation. So today it is about security of rape. Then already the issue now, because of that, it's come up with whether the permissions. Next tomorrow, how's the building safety? You know, it just one after the other, that cascades into a problem or the other. So I mean, it's a
problems one too many, but then the action that we see is absolutely nil. So what do you have to say? Do you feel that the system is flawed and that the government needs to really wake up? Despite several rude wake-up calls, there's absolutely no action yet?
I really don't think that the government can do anything about it. The mentality of people needs to change, because if yesterday also there was one thing in the news where in Gujarat a 6-month-old girl was raped. So I think the mentality of Indian men needs to change, where we think women are our property. So that needs to change in the first place, and also local civic bodies out here, they need to have
two key issues here. One is the mentality of people, and two is that responsible government officials that people need to see who get elected there. Sudhir.
Right. Pratibha, stay on with us. We also have a caller from Bangalore, Soumya, an IT professional. Soumya, what do you have to say about the spate of such child rape cases? Extremely disturbing. Who would you say really has to take the responsibility to ensure that the children, while they spend those hours in school, are absolutely 100% safe?
Okay. Apart from licenses that have to be checked rigorously, and apart from the fact that the government has to take action and by suspending, dismissing some of the schools and setting an example for the rest of the schools, I think one more useful measure that will mitigate the whole problem is this: all the staff working in the campus that do not come from a commendable educational background, such as peons and housekeeping staff, they must all be women. There should be no male staff other than teachers, principal, and other such clerical people who come from a commendable educational background.
Right.
So apart from these, none of the others like housekeeping staff and peons should be a male. They should all be female, and this will mitigate the problem to a considerable extent, I think.
Right, Soumya, thanks for calling in. In fact, that was one of the points that even Chief Minister and Home Minister George had made, that all the now recruitments that will be made will be females. Pratibha, has it really worked on the ground in the schools, or is it all talk in the air that the government officials and ministers make whenever such a terrible incident takes place?
Absolutely. In fact, 6 months ago, when one of the incidents came to light, they had promised that they would conduct a drive, number one. Number two is that the background checks of all this staff would also be initiated. They only say that the process is on, but absolutely no action that we see on ground. So do you feel that there's absolutely no background checks that were done from an attendant to a school staff? We have absolutely no clue who is this person, what is his background.
Totally. There's no background check. This is a lot of personal people I know who are faculties. The process itself is like, oh my God, I have to just do this again. Why is there a problem there? It's not just male staff, even female staff. Everybody have a background check before they get in. And it has been, honestly, everything is going very lethargic. That's the problem, man. But the problems are just going at a fast pace here. They have to either hire more staff, either give it to private guys if the government is not able to do it. Just get it done. Make sure that these problems don't occur. Make sure people are qualified and equipped, because private schools right now, they're trying to save costs by hiring cheaper people. I mean, people from outside, and they're not doing a lot of background check. They're saying, this guy looks fine. Because
fund crunch seems to be a big problem here, and that is the main reason why most of these school management get together and complain that they wouldn't be able to finish this on time, and basically that is why the whole delay, and the police is also hand in glove with this. Sudhir.
Right, Pratibha Raman, thanks a lot for joining us with all your guests there from Bangalore. Is Tamil Nadu a case of one state and two chief ministers? Well, that's the impression one got on the first day of the Tamil Nadu Assembly's winter session, when the chief minister's seat, which was occupied earlier by Jayalalitha, the former chief minister, was left vacant, and the ministers in their reply actually kept referring to the people's chief minister, meaning Jayalalitha, in their replies, obviously prompting the DMK and other opposition members to taunt them, saying, who is the people's chief minister?
இன்னைக்கு நான் இந்த அவைக்கு வருவதாக சொல்லியிருந்து இன்றைய முன்னாள் முதலமைச்சரும் தமிழக சட்டமன்ற கட்சி தலைவருமான மாண்புமிகு பன்னீர்செல்வம் அவர்கள்
They definitely, that's the people's chief minister. She came with a clear mandate. Even the parliamentary election, they had about 37 seats. They won the seat. And there is a case going, the court case, a subjudiced matter though. And there is an appeal in the High Court, then it's going to appeal in the Supreme Court. And she will get reprieve there. So the party people who belong, the party belongs to the ADMK's General Secretary is Madam Jayalalitha. And definitely they will have a high esteem on her. So in what way they are wrong in calling her the people's chief minister? She is the people's chief minister.
Today the Tamil Nadu Assembly has refused to hear the opposition parties insofar as extending the Assembly working days. In fact, yesterday the Business Committee had come to a decision that only 3 days will be the session, and very less number of days to discuss the issues in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is facing severe problems, and people are facing a lot of problems which has to be represented in the Assembly.
Joining me now from Chennai is my colleague Shisha Reddy, also senior journalist and political analyst R. Mani from our Chennai studio. Mr. Mani, how do you feel when you constantly hear about a people's chief minister there in Tamil Nadu?
This is an absolute mockery of sorts. Nowhere in the state you can find this sort of a situation. Though Jayalalitha is an elected leader with a popular mandate and still she is the popular leader, the fact of the matter is she is convicted and sent to jail and out on bail. There is an elected Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam, but neither his party MLAs nor his own ministers are willing to accept him. They are all living in a denial mode. So this is very sad on the part of the state.
Shisha, how are the people in Chennai reacting to something like this? This references to a people's chief minister, the fact that the current chief minister did not occupy the seat which was earlier occupied by Jayalalitha when she was chief minister. How are people in Chennai reacting to all this happening inside the Tamil Nadu Assembly?
Well, Sudhi, there are mixed responses because on the one side, when people say that Jayalalitha has done a lot to the state, on the other hand, O. Pannirselvam, who is constitutionally the chief minister of the state, has not been the way he has been doing is not as a chief minister as such. Even his name board in his house does not call him a chief minister. He doesn't sit in the chief minister's chair. And also, I'm told by the sources that this time the Tamil Nadu calendar, which is going to come out which will be issued by the state government, will not have O. Pannirselvam's picture, because this might be first time in the history of Tamil Nadu. I'm now joined by a student. So what do you see in this when people call Jayalalitha the people's chief minister, when we already have a constituent chief minister, O. Pannirselvam?
I feel Jayalalitha can be rightfully called the people's chief minister because she's done a lot for the people of the state. Opened up Amma canteens, given Amma water, and done a lot for the people. So I feel that when people see Jayalalitha, they all say, yeah, she has done something good for the people. So I think Jayalalitha has been rightfully called the people's chief minister.
Right. So he has been agreeing to Jayalalitha being called as the people's chief minister. Do you also think the same, or what is your view on this? When we already have a current chief minister who has to discharge his duties as a chief minister, do you think it's been done in the right way?
I think Tamil Nadu is built on maybe like a cult of personality. And unfortunately, I don't think Pannirselvam is matching up, because when you have someone who's in the chief minister's chair, he has to be someone who projects a sense of authority. And both Karunanidhi and Jayalalitha do that. And I think Pannirselvam has to start if he wants to keep the state together. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty long road for him in terms of retaining his power.
Right. Very quickly, what is your point on this?
It doesn't mean that other parties they walk away from the assembly. The matter is that whoever wants, they have to do something to the people. Yeah.
It's a very valid point that they have been making, though there's some mixed responses. Yes, whoever be the chief minister, as long as they can discharge their duties, it's well and good. Sudhir.
Right. Shisha, Mr. Mani, it's an AIDMK government. Jayalalitha is the AIDMK supremo. So a valid point that she would be giving directions to her own government. Now, we have heard the voices from Chennai. How do you think the common voter in the other parts of Tamil Nadu, in the countryside, who perhaps does not owe allegiance to either the DMK or the AIDMK, is likely to react to whatever is happening in Chennai?
Again, as far as the voters are concerned, maybe ADMK voters can accept this, but not DMK voters or apolitical voters. See the actual status in Tamil Nadu. The Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam is not at all happy when anyone calls him as Chief Minister. He is not sitting in the Chief Minister's chair. There is not even a name board in his house or in his office. So these sort of things will actually do harm for the state in the long run. But unfortunately, the opposition, which has to exploit this situation, is also in a terribly weak position. And that is the the overall tragedy of the Tamil Nadu politics today.
Right. Mr. Mani Shisha Reddy, thanks a lot for joining us there on this story, a very important political story from Chennai. It's the state of Andhra Pradesh versus the farmers in Krishna and Guntur districts there. But Chandrababu Naidu says that the farmers will have no option but to part with a bit of their land in order to contribute to the building of a grand new capital of the new state of Andhra Pradesh.
The voices in Krishna and Guntur districts that will be home to the new capital region of Andhra Pradesh are annoyed. They feel they are being shortchanged by the government. even though the land they are giving to the government to build the new capital city is part of the rice bowl of India.
మాకు ఇంత ఆవేజ్ వస్తుంది. మాది ఇటు ఆవేజ్ రాని పొలం ఇటు వచ్చే పొలం ఒకటే చేస్తున్నారు. మాకు ఎక్కువ ఇవ్వాలి, మా పొలానికి ఎక్కువ ఇవ్వాలి అని వీళ్ళు అనుకుంటున్నారు. ఆ సమాధానం చెప్పాలా ఇప్పుడు ఎవరు కూడా. ఆ సమాధానం కోసం జనం చూస్తున్నారు.
The government has asked farmers to give parts of their land for land pooling to build the capital. Chandrababu Naidu is selling the idea that they will be stakeholders in the venture as well. But not everyone is convinced.
ఇది డొల్లిపోయింది, అది పెద్దలు ఎక్కడో రాలా, ఇలా మొత్తం తీసుకుంటున్నాం అంటున్నారు. అది తీసుకొని మాకు ఏమి ఇస్తారు? 1000 గజం అంటున్నారు. ఆ 1000 గజం ఎక్కడిస్తారు? ఏ కొండలు చూపిస్తారని ఆందోళన. అన్నం తింట్లా ముసలోళ్ళేమో మైండ్ పోతుంది.
Others are making different demands.
సిద్ధంగానే ఉన్నారు కానీ దాని డిమాండ్లు ఉన్నాయి. ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళేమో 1000 గజాలు అంటున్నారు, మేము 1200 గజాలు వాళ్ళు దీంట్లో హౌసింగ్ దాంట్లో 200 గజాలు కమర్షియల్ దాంట్లో అడుగుతున్నాం. దాని వరకు అదొకటి. రుణమాఫీ అనేది చేస్తే ఏంటంటే రైతులు ఇవ్వడానికి కూడా నమ్మకం అనేది ఒకటి ఏర్పడుద్ది.
Chandrababu Naidu knows that he will have to crack the whip sooner than later.
Already I have decided, I have declared land pooling system. We are not raising any land value there, but we have allowed them to go for registrations, because if you ban registrations, people are feeling inconvenient, and also somebody wanted to sell, it is very bad for them. Ultimately, land pooling is the final reality. Most of the farmers agreed, we are working with them.
By giving a rosy picture of Japanese and Singapore investments flowing into the new capital, Chandrababu Naidu has only raised hopes and expectations. With farmers driving a hard bargain, it will finally boil down to who blinks first. With camera person Manohar Reddy, Ratnika Sharma in Guntur for Headlines Today.
Joining me now from Vijayawada is Mr. Chukkapalli Prasad, Secretary of the AP Chamber of Commerce and Industry, also Parkala Prabhakar, Communications Advisor to the Andhra Pradesh government from Hyderabad. Mr. Prasad, land pooling on paper sounds like a great idea, but farmers who are looking to make quick money, will it really work on the ground?
Whether it is in the interest of the farmer or not, today government is looking in a different angle, because they want to develop this area into a big and good capital. So someone has to make a sacrifice. Pooling will definitely benefit the government first, and of course it also will benefit the farmer in the long run, because 1000 square yards, now looking at Vijayawada, there is no place in and around the center of the Vijayawada less than 70,000-75,000 rupees per square yard. So if that amount is going to be coming in next 5 years to that farmer, he is going to get for that 1000 square yards at least about 7 crores, which is unimaginable for him. So it is better for him also.
Mr. Parkala Prabhakar, the worry is that you're setting up the capital in a region that produces 3 crops in a year. So in that sense, the fertile Krishna Delta, the long-term consequences of actually driving away farmers, so many farmers from agriculture in the most fertile part of Andhra Pradesh, wouldn't that be disastrous?
I think this is a wrong notion, because in the entire area, which is about say 30,000 acres or so, consisting or in about 29 to 30 villages, only about 1,000 or 1,200 acres, which is a very modest parcel of land, which yields about 3 crops. So we are not really driving away the agriculture, and the rest of the area is not going to yield us 3 crops. Maybe some parts of it is 1 crop, and again another modest part is going to be 2 crops. So this is a very wrong notion. It is not an exercise where we are driving away the agricultural operations.
Right, Mr. Parkala Prabhakar and Mr. Chukkapalli Prasad, thanks a lot for joining us on this very important story taking place there in Krishna and Guntur districts of Andhra Pradesh. A sad day for India. One of her best known legal minds, Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer, has passed away. He celebrated his 100th birthday only last month. He suffered from cardiac and renal failure and pneumonia. In fact, Padma Vibhushan Justice Iyer was a minister in the first communist government in Kerala in the 50s and became a Supreme Court judge in 1973 and is recognized for his work in public interest litigations and prison jurisprudence. Among the most famous case Justice Iyer presided over was in June 1975 when he ordered that Prime Minister Indira Gandhi could not vote or participate in the proceedings as an MP but only participates in the proceedings as Prime Minister, but without a vote. The very next day, Mrs. Indira Gandhi imposed emergency in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condoled Justice Krishna Iyer's demise. May his soul rest in peace. That's it then on Up South.